It's go time, show time. Good morning, everybody. Bill Caskey here. 8 a.m. live, right on time again today. Got a good show for you today. It's a little bit different. Going to read um, a survey result from a potential client, ultimately became a client. His name was Phillip, and I think his survey is interesting because it might some of the things that he says probably are going to resonate with you. So that's why. Bill Caskey podcast launches today, not launches, releases today. And one of the things we're doing now is we're going to be posting our podcast on YouTube. YouTube has an entire podcast. Let me get rid of that. An entire podcast setup, and you're going to be able to listen to the Bill Caskey podcast on either YouTube podcast or YouTube Music. So anyway, if you want to see how the how the hot dog is made, you can visualize it. Visualize it. Don't visualize that. You can see me, or you can just listen as we've done in the past. And this week's episode, I get a little testy in it. I get a little testy if I remember right. Maybe it was the video thing. Maybe I felt subconscious. I don't know, but self-conscious, not subconscious. So today I want to talk about something that happens often in our business that I think you might be able to relate to, and that is whenever someone is interested in joining one of our programs or becoming a client anyway, there's typically a survey of some kind, of short survey, probably takes you 10 to 15 minutes to fill out. But I can tell a lot about someone when I look at the rigor that they put in and the time they put into the answers on the survey. I've had people I've had to cancel calls with because they either refuse to fill it out or they fill it out in kind of a quippy way and there's nothing really there. I don't want to talk to them because I know they're not committed. Could they possibly buy? Yeah, they could possibly buy. And then what? Then they come into the program and they're not really committed to learn and change and grow and try things. And then it just is not a good idea. So I can tell pretty early. And I'm going to read to you here in a minute Philip's response to the survey because I think it does apply to a lot of people. And I also think when you are out there in the marketplace talking to prospects and you have a survey or an audit or a form of some kind that you ask them to fill out, you can tell a lot. Now, I'd be very careful about asking too many questions in an audit. Like if you haven't talked to them yet, I probably wouldn't ask 100 questions. I might ask 3 or 4 to get a sense of the kind of issues they're having and what they want to talk about when they do book a call. But generally, you can tell a lot from there. So here's a questionnaire from Philip. He was interested in my High Achiever Mentoring Program. You can find out more at billcaskey.com. There's a strip at the very top. You can learn more, and if you want to book a call with me, you're welcome to. But this was a survey that he filled out prior to our first call. Okay? Bill, I've been in sales for 15 years, and I've always grown my income each year up until 5 years ago. My income has stagnated. I'm starting to get frustrated about growing. Selling cycles have lengthened. He's in a selling cycle that's usually 120 days to 6 months. Closing percentages have dropped, and it's harder and harder to get to the right person inside the company. I've tried everything. I've tried listening to podcasts to understand what I might be doing wrong, feel like I'm doing everything right, but still not working. I know I have tremendous upside in my business, and the potential is enormous, but I feel like I'm working 50 hours a week and getting nowhere. Part of me wants to admit the market has changed, and that's just the way it is, and there's nothing I can do about it. But sometimes deep down, something tells me I'm off, either in my attitude, my strategy, or my approach. I'm going to read that sentence again because this tells me Philip's degree of self-awareness. He says, something deep down tells me I'm either off in my attitude, my strategy, or my approach. And if you're ever considering coming into one of our programs, I want you to listen to that. I want you to observe that. And I think we live in a world where we're very reluctant to be truthful with people, especially about our issues and our problems. I mean, we just had a situation in Nashville where the person, there was some illness there. They couldn't confide in people. I mean, there was something else, and I know there's a lot of political drama around it, but generally, we live in a world where it's not okay to share what you really think. And I think this goes for the business profession, sales profession, business of any kind, is we have been taught, keep it close to the vest. They don't need to know that about you. Don't show your warts. Don't show your weakness, stiff upper lip, just keep pounding. And yet we do have problems. we have some problems in the business world. And one of the problems is you spend a lot of time pursuing something it's never going to happen. And it might be because you haven't been honest with yourself about what you really need to do. And Philip has been. Here's he continues, and then it finishes. My manager has been of no help. Every one of our sales team is experiencing the same things I am. I get little mentoring. I feel like I'm alone on an island trying to figure out how to get to dry land. It's very frustrating. I'm tired of using COVID as an excuse, even though I realize it did have an impact on the business. I think it's more than that. I'm anxious for our discussion. So you might be wondering, okay, Bill, fair enough. This dude was very forthcoming. He was very honest. What did you find when you talked to Philip? And of course, I found the same thing. He was eager to have a conversation. And it was almost like once he shared this with this survey, not with me, because he was all written, I think he felt it was almost like it was a relief. And he even said to me something like, the process you're putting me through early, I can see how it's going to be helpful. And I'm already feeling a little bit more alive and free because of it. So that's not necessarily the point, but Philip's a pretty intuitive, self-aware, smart guy. And so he understands that. So what was my answer to him? Well, as I spoke to him on our intake call, which we do for about 30 minutes, where I, share a little bit about the program and find out specifically what he wants to accomplish beyond the survey, is he has a self-image problem. And we all have a self-image problem. And it has to do with the image we have of our roles in life. Because think about it, we have different roles. We have the role of the father, the role of the mother, the role of the son, the role of the helper, the salesperson, the VP of sales. We have all these roles that we play. We don't play one role, we play a lot of roles. And in our major roles, like parent, sales manager, sales professional, and I say major because it provides income. So it's major because it takes care of our family. And so it's a major role. I think we have to really understand what role our self-image plays in executing that function. So you've got to understand that self-image for a sales professional is really important. It's really important because if my self-image is shot or my image of what I need to be doing in that role is not right, I will not act in the role properly. So, for example, I said to Philip, "So what do you think your role is as a sales professional today? What do you think your role is?" He said, "To make quota." I said, "Okay. Does your customer care about quota, your quota?" He laughed. He said, "No, of course not." I said, "Well, what's your role with the customer? What's your role with the customer?" And it took him a minute to answer, and his answer was incorrect as I see it. His answer was something along the lines of, well, my role is to sell them so that they can get my solution. It was very me oriented, my solution, my value, sell to them. And I said, you've got a self-image problem, not in terms of your life, but in terms of this specific role, because we all have a self-image in the roles that we play. Remember, I said that earlier. So what is your role as a sales professional? Because how you see that, your self-image, how you see that role will dictate what you do in that role. If you see yourself as a swashbuckling persuader, convincer, backslapper, you see yourself as like the persona that everybody loves when they walk in the room, that's how you'll play the role. If you see yourself there, that's how you'll do it. And some people might be attracted to that and most will not. So until you change your image you have of yourself in that role and redefine what it means to be in that role, which is really easy to do, to be honest with you. This whole self-image thing, people think it takes years. It doesn't. It takes a few minutes, because once you decide, okay, that's not working for me, I need to redefine how I act in that role and what my role is as a sales professional and what's the image I have of myself in there. Once you do that, it's off to the races. Now, it doesn't mean you're done coaching and training, but that's step one, is really understanding your self-image. So that's what we worked with Phillip on. I tell you, it took probably 20 minutes. Now, granted, Phillip's a sharp guy, and he's totally self-aware. It didn't take him long at all to say, this is a life changer. This is a game changer for me. If I can keep with that, which I will hold him accountable for and reinforce, he said, this will change. And he said, I already feel more inspired. And I think it's important that we all recognize that the reason is, A, we did shift some things mentally and emotionally for him, but two, he was willing. He was willing to be shifted. I can't shift anything if you're not willing to be shifted. So when someone comes to me like Phillip and he's self-aware and he's motivated and he's totally into what we're doing, it makes it a lot easier. So I'm interested in your comments there. Again, the reason I do these things is because I want to expand your thinking a little bit. I want to give you things to think about that nobody else is giving you to think about. You probably haven't had a meeting at your company where they talk about self-image, have you? No, because it's a no-no. It's an area we stay away from. Why? Why do we stay away from it? We're in 2023. Why are we still ignoring that there are issues that we all have? And if we could just tweak our thinking a little bit, that everything would change. We say we want change. Your manager says they want change. I want more sales, more revenue, more profitability, but they're not willing to look at the things that are really going to be the difference makers. They're not willing to look at it because it's a little, I'm not sure I want to go down there. That's not my lane, as I've heard people say. I don't hear it as much anymore. There was a few years where, oh, psychology, it's not my lane. I'm in the world of business and making calls and blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. And you're not going to deal with this because this is the real problem. When I first got into the coaching business, I had a mentor, and he used to say, 90% of the time we're working on the wrong problem. And while I disagreed with some of the things that he put out there and said, I did agree with him on that one. 90% of the time we're working on the wrong problem. The right problem to work on is everything that happens inside. That's always the right place to start. Doesn't mean you don't have issues on the outside and the tools you use and the strategy you deploy and the marketing funnel, all that. Sure, we talk about that. But it all begins inside. And if you're not willing to look at inside, you're never going to solve the real problem. Okay, I hope that has been helpful. If you want to go to billcaskey.com, you can. It's free. It's a free website. Now, there's all sorts of elements there. If you also want to check out the 5 reasons you don't have enough clients document, it's a really powerful document. It's got 11, 12 pages of good stuff in it. Down here at the lower left, you can see the website, 5 reasonsclients.com. It's got a few emails on the back end, and I think there's a video or 2 there as well. So make sure you check that out. Let's see. A good deal, Paul. Okay, Bill, totally agree with this. Our self-image is the fuel to the fire. That's good. Paul, the self-image is too focused on self. That's a problem. When self-image is on service. Yeah, I totally agree, Paul, is that our self-image can't just be obsessed and narcissistic about who we are and how are we looking and does everybody like me? No, my self-image, my role in sales has to be about them. And when I can shift and make it about them, the prospect and the client, the customer, man, the walls are down. You're out of prison. The prison is of looking at everything that we do as a narcissistic look. That's the prison that we live in. Rob, good job. Thank you. Good job. Good job. Good job. Glad you're joining me today. I'll see you tomorrow. We only got a few more days of Caskey Live, and then we'll have to make a decision on Friday. I'm going to have a big unveiling. I'll see you.